Why, hello, everybody. It is finally time for the election. No one is in yet, and that's perfectly fine. I am here for you. You're not here for me. I'm here for you. We're going to get through this together. We're going to figure out how we're going to survive. We're going to figure out what exactly is happening. You may have noticed that Brent is not here yet. We do have a different co-host. Perhaps future President Joe Biden is here. He is busy, though, but we do have the live video feed. Hopefully you see that. He is enjoying that ice cream cone very much, very much. So I hope, you'll let me know if I'm not sounding right or if I'm not looking right. I did a bunch of testing earlier. We've got Jubson here. Jubson, welcome to the stream. If I'm not mistaken, you are Brent's cousin. I'm not always clear about what those family relations are. With Brent, he's got a lot of relatives. Jubson, a true American hero. Jub, did you vote today? Let us know if you voted. And if you didn't, why not? That's really what matters here. YouTube is yelling at me. YouTube keeps telling me contradictory things about what they want the stream bitrate to be. Maybe I'll pump that up. Let's see what I can do with that. Here, let me... Oh, whoop. I'm going to alter that. Let's see what that does. Boom. All right. Now, hopefully it'll be fine with that. But yeah, the goal for this stream, what we did last time is we followed the returns. That's part of it, just kind of keeping y'all updated on what is going on. All right, not sure. Stream bitrate. Audio streams. Use 4,500. One moment, everybody. I am still kind of working on some things. They want 4,500. I can do that. All right, I have once again altered this. I hope again you'll let me know if you can hear me or if you can't. But one thing to note is Brent will be joining us later. Jubson also says he will be voting on Election Day, which is tomorrow. I don't think that's correct. I believe today is Election Day. Jub, you might want to get on that. I hope so. And Jub, I hope you'll let me know if you're not seeing. Apparently, I have a good connection. I hope that is still the case. All right, so while we wait for Brent to join us, he'll be joining us, I believe, in the next hour plus or so, hour, 2 hours, somewhere in there. He has got to, he's got work to do. He's an essential worker. Making sure that all the asbestos you eat is safe to consume. So let's, take a look. If you've been anything like me, you've probably been just absolutely terrified and anxious and nervous and feel like all right, not sure what happened. Hopefully I'm back on. Let me check. I've got some gremlins here in the computer who are talking to me here. All right, well, I am going to get us ready to take a look at some... let me turn... We don't need that. We don't need that at all. Let's see. We don't need forecasts. Wow, it turns out Joe Biden winning Vermont. No one saw that coming. Winning Vermont, that's pretty incredible. Let's see what else is going on. I personally like taking a look at the AP. AP's results are pretty good. Let's see. I just want tell me returns because we're looking at Florida and Georgia. Those are the two big ones that are going on right here. Brent is telling me I am still not online. All right, it seems like it's on my end. All right, it seems like it's on my end. That's me. All right, enough of Brent ruining my day. Let's take a look. So right now, let me kind of give you my conceptualization of this election to kind of make sense of all this here. So let me pull out some of this. Is the true secret, none dare call it ordinary intel that you're about to see right here. Actually, I'll just switch it over for the time being. Is this. So this is Biden's to lose because Biden has multiple different ways to win this election. He has multiple different pathways that will get him the election. Trump basically has one. So first, Trump has to win all of these states. And you can't see that because I am on the wrong one. All right, let me close that. It would help if you could actually see what I was showing you. All right, there we go. So this is what Trump has to win. Trump has to win Texas, Iowa, Ohio, Florida, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. If he doesn't win those, it's not looking too good. And then there are these are the gravy states for Trump. Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Maine, and New Hampshire. So this is how I'm conceptualizing it. And right now, the polls have closed in Florida and Georgia. So Georgia's kind of one of the gravy states for Biden. So let's kind of take a look at what we can see. Let's see here. So Florida currently, we've got, if I'm reading this correctly, with 16% reporting. We have Donald Trump ahead, 51.3%. Joe Biden, 47.8%. Joe Jorgensen, Howie Hawkins. No one's talking about Howie. And so right now, this is quite early so far. We have nothing reporting from the kind of the bottom right here. And so that's really going to be the big one, right now. So, so again, it's 16%. It's hard to see based just on this. Now let's take a look at Georgia. Again, that's the other one. Georgia. Georgia results, only 1% reporting so far. Donald Trump ahead, 55 to 44. Again, it looks like just a few So it looks like our friend Forrest wants to join. Yeah, Forrest, just hop on Discord, and I will throw you up. Two chat is down. Seeing some Roger on Discord is letting me know that the chat does not seem to be working. A few other people are chatting at me. I see Forrest's chat's getting up on there. Yeah, Forrest, hop on the Discord. That's how I'm gonna get Mr. Brent on. So that will be the easiest way for you to get on as well. And there is, on the bottom of the list, there is a voice call channel on there. The Discord link, you should have that memorized. But yeah, I will send you a link right now. This is true live stuff happening right now. True live stuff. Let's see if I can't get Mr. What's his face on here. All right, yeah, for some reason, having some difficulty with the YouTube chat. I'm getting some in from some. Forrest seems to be able to come in, and so has Jub, but other folks. So what I would recommend is just take a look at the Discord. If you head on over to the Discord, which you can find if you go to nonedarecallitordinary.com, you'll find a link to the Discord. I will be taking a look at that right now. So either way, just send a message and I will catch it right on here. And soon, Joe Biden will be leaving us. I would say sadly, but I am excited to get Forrest on here. So hopefully he'll be able to join in soon. So let's take a look while we're waiting for Forrest. We have some more results coming in from Georgia. Again, very early, 3% reporting. Right now, Joe Biden is leading. Again, my suspicion is that this is more about. This is just early. That's all this really means. It doesn't really mean anything besides that. And let's again take a look at Florida. Florida is apparently expected to count its results quite quickly. And with 43% reporting, we now have Joe Biden ahead, 51.7%. To 47.6%. Interestingly, it appears that there are some libertarian. This will not let me click on it for whatever reason. And by the way, just in case you don't know, Forrest, I sent the Discord link to your phone. Sent it to your phone. Okay. Now I see you on there. Let me get Forrest. I'm going to throw you in here real quick. All right, Forrest. Forrest, you should now be able to join the holy sanctum of the Ordinarium. It's the voice channel right on the bottom, and we can make that. I can make that a video for you as well. But yeah, so while he is getting hooked on there, let's take a look again. I'm trying to see if I can't get a more detailed. I'm very much intrigued by these. There's a few. Again, I mean, 43%. That's not that's not nothing. And it looks like there are a few libertarian leaning, which seems bizarre given the, rounding up 25,000 libertarian votes. So that's rather bizarre. I want to see if I can get more specific. Maybe if I click here, it'll help me out. I don't want to understand. I understand what an election is. Forrest, you're on the wrong one, buddy. You want to get on the bottom one that says the Holy Sanctum. Hey, Forrest, can you hear me? I see you talking. Give me 1 second. I might need to fix some things on my end here. Default output should be going to... Let's see if I can't test all this stuff here. All right, Forrest, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you indeed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes. But you can't see me.
Not yet. I haven't gotten you up on the video. Oh, I do see some... I am now getting some YouTube... what are these things? What are these things called? So we're
getting your voice twice. I'm getting you talking and then you talking again with a delay.
Yeah, I gotta fix that real quick. Let me.
I hear myself.
1 moment. Okay, cool. Looks like the YouTube is back up. Now I need to fix this so Forrest is not being bombarded with my voice.
Okay, I figured out what's going on. I had the YouTube link open and I was hearing myself. That's what was going on.
Perfect. So yes, it's Forrest joining us. Let's get Forrest on video. That would be fun. I am activating the video shenanigans. Actually, Forrest, if you could, because this is like an old voice, if you could log on to the one at the very bottom that says the Holy Sanctum.
Let me see here. Okay, so I see 2 of them.
Yeah, you want the bottom one that has the audio speaker thing. Yeah, there you go. Let me disconnect. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes. Yeah, this is the this is our secret private one. Let me turn the video on. And I'm glad everyone can comment now on the YouTube. I'm seeing everybody's YouTubes happening here. Let's kind of see here. Forrest, is your video activated?
No, the little green dot's not coming. I'm using my Chromebook. I've never used it before for video.
Gotcha.
Let me see here. I'm not sure what I gotta turn on.
Okay. Well, for now, we can hear your beautiful voice crystal clear. So I'm not, we have that, and we've got the beautiful Joe Biden with the aviators. This is what I wanted. I wanted to get some aviators and an ice cream cone to prepare for a possible happy ending to this awful, no good, very bad day.
You just want that ice cream so the media won't ask you tough questions. That's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, so that's the second reason, but the real reason is I want to get some walnut sauce on there. If you know what I'm saying. I got to get my adrenochrome fix. Speaking of adrenochrome. And speaking of the elites, I don't know if I shared yet. I'm repping the Beto for America 2020.
All right. Looks like I got video.
Oh, you got video? Let me. Oh shit! It's Forrest. Now let's get a.
Although my lighting, since it's from above, it looks like I'm in the Godfather office.
It does. I think my video just isn't working because I'm sending it to OBS. So you'll have to see me on the other stream. I hope that's acceptable. Okay. So let me.
I'll let it slide this time.
Okay,
let me see here.
I appreciate that. So yeah, let me throw you on here real quick. So Forrest, how have you been doing? How have you been coping with this day?
Well, you know, it's another beautiful day in 2020, my favorite year of all time.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's
love 2020.
It's objectively good, objectively great. It's always going to be so. All right, let me. I
already told Dylan and Brent, like, no matter what happens this election, I'm no politics for me for at least 4 years. I'm done.
Yeah, at least.
I can't handle it anymore.
That's a big. Okay, boom.
At least.
Look how big you are. All right.
I have to tell everybody, right? Because I don't want it to be this. Some people in my family, oh, now Joe Biden won. Now you don't want to talk about politics. Like, no. So I have to preemptive strike against that and say, no. Like, no matter who wins, period. I don't care.
Yeah, it's so Forrest is a bit louder. Let me fix that here. Let's see what's going on here. Let me fix Forrest being louder. Let's see. How should I do that? Meow. All right, I'll get Forrest fixed up there. Can't have Forrest taken over.
Oh.
That would be unacceptable. All right, so output volume, that might help. All right. So, yeah, I think I lowered Forrest's volume. We'll see if that actually did anything.
All right. How do I sound now?
You sound fine to me. But yeah, we'll have to let everyone in TV land let me know. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, also now I need to add the little u to this big video thing. Let me get Forrest on there. Add existing Forrest. Okay. Little Forrest. Yeah, so I've been I was gonna actually do an earlier just like stupid video game stream just to like keep my mind off of just thinking about this, but I ended up just thinking about this instead. That's what I decided to do. Right. All right. Oh, now look how professional this is. You're on the bottom right, I'm on the bottom left. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's kind of take a look again at what's happening. So Florida is at 54%. Sadly, only one Joe Jorgensen County is left. I thought for sure we were going to have some of those. I didn't understand.
Joe Jorgensen, let her speak. Let her speak. What the signs say.
Yeah, currently 32,000. Oh, 33,000.
Our libertarian friend in Las Vegas is the only person with a Joe Jorgensen sign. So
yeah,
it's fun to see that.
It definitely feels that third parties did not exist this year. There just was not enough oxygen in the room to even consider that. So that's interesting. But right now, a little less than a 2-point lead for Joe Biden. The one, if we're gonna inhale some hopium here, it looks like I don't remember which one is which, but this Palm Beach county, it appears, has not recorded any results yet, which means that this 2-point lead maybe is pretty good, given that. Who knows?
And do you have an electoral map, which is your prediction, or did you not put that together?
No, we didn't put that together. Okay. I predict all blue. It's all going to be blue. That's my prediction. But yeah, I don't know. There have been
sort of like. Did you ever see what the map looked like when Reagan beat Jimmy Carter, where the whole map was just red?
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Jimmy Carter has to have amazing. The best, the largest ratio between like public perception of presidency and like post presidency. He's had like the best post presidency of any president, where no one, only bootlickers.
Well, he's a genuinely good person.
Yeah, dude's like helping to build.
There's really
houses,
no way to attack him,
and he's like 96. Let's
put it this way, right? His peanut farm, he put that into a blind trust. That's how serious he was. His little peanut farm. Oh, like that's a huge conflict of interest. I got to put that in a blind trust. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was just peanuts.
I mean, compare that to what we're dealing with now, right? Like, it's not even.
Make the emoluments clause matter again. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, matter again. Say. Yeah. If it ever really did matter, Again, we talked about this before. It's sorry to sound like David Frum, but all of the norms have to be made law.
Yeah, I think
that's the main takeaway I got from this whole year. I was actually just thinking, think about how many problems there are in the world. Think about all the environmental problems. Think about the threat of nuclear catastrophe, mix, asteroids, whatever. All these horrible things. And if anything, it's like, I almost feel like if Trump loses and Trump's gone, all of the focus has been on Trump and his antics. And I'm wondering if all these problems will just all of a sudden become visible to everybody. And it's going to be just this like shock. Think about it. Like the last 4 years, it's almost like
it's when if Trump loses, COVID's going to disappear because it's not real.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and likewise with all those other problems.
So many problems. That's the thing too, is that there's so many problems that have built up. That's another reason I just want to not be a part of it, because it's so depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's your day?
My day's been fine. I have been, so there's a YouTuber I discovered. I'll rep him. His name is Vaush, Vaush. He is like a far left socialist, but he's also like hardcore. If you don't vote for Biden, you are the enemy. And so that's kind of a cool combo.
Oh, he's Noam Chomsky. He's just in disguise is what it is.
It could be like maybe.
No. Did you know Noam Chomsky's gotten a lot of flack recently from the so-called left about how. Yeah. That's a very strange thing. I was just thinking about this. I think that there's certain personality types that, and I kind of have that, where you have kind of contrarian streak, kind of a rebel streak. In a weird way, because Trump is so despised by the establishment, some people are willing to kind of let Trump slide with all his indiscretions just because they don't want to be perceived as being part of the establishment.
Yeah. I think Glenn Greenwald is probably the most recent, like, just metastasization of that cancer over the past week.
Yeah.
Just, with this whole...
And I get it. There's a lot about the establishment that I hate. I used to spend all my time bitching about the establishment before Trump. Yeah. But me, the way I look at it is that Trump, it really is a uniquely dangerous character. And I know that doesn't make you cool to say that, because you turn on mainstream media and they say that every day, all day. It happens to be true. And I think that that's the interesting thing about Noam Chomsky. I was happy that he came out on the same side that I'm on with this. It's like, like Chomsky, you can't find anybody that's more of a critic of the establishment in the mainstream. And even he's coming out saying, Trump is just uniquely horrible and we have to get rid of him.
And it's also, it's not as though Trump, it's not as though all of the Republican Party, like, of course, it's been transformed very explicitly into a bootlicking, kind of right-wing workers' party, other right-wing workers' parties that we might have heard of in the past. But, it's also an establishment party. It's not as though, if when you serve the rich and when you serve, the personal, ego of this, millionaire, maybe once in a while billionaire, like the idea that that's the anti-establishment view is just so
and there's another thing too, is one problem really is that with all the really bad comparisons to Hitler and fascism that have gone throughout the years for whatever president, oh, this person's a fascist, that person's a fascist. It's always totally off the wall, not fair at all. I think it's kind of neutered us. When it comes to Trump, there are certain parallels, like what you just said, for example. With National Socialism, it was this Workers' Party thing explicitly. But Hitler made alliances with all the giant corporations back then, too. In fact, he was called a sellout by, what's his name, Ernst Röhm or something, the guy that was head of
the SA, yeah.
Yeah, he went out and said Hitler really doesn't believe in socialism. He's teaming up with all the big corporations and enriching them, and he was killed because he pointed that out.
Yeah, he was the rare left-wing Nazi, because they actually did exist. He was a left-wing Nazi, which is fun.
Oh, culturally, they were always like what you would call far-right reactionary, but
it's just like, you know,
it's economically they're kind of like almost the way Tucker Carlson's kind of.
Yeah, I think Tucker Carlson is exactly the right parallel here. And I think that, I think this is something you've said about how for a lot of the folks who really bristle at these comparisons, they would also say that Hitler wasn't Hitler until like 1942, which is a problem. And I think ultimately, when I say Trump is a fascist, what I mean is a socially conservative, but kind of pandering to economic populism. Not always.
Yeah, I think too is really the kind of aesthetic and the way of kind of the method and style of the consolidation of power, I think, is reminiscent of European fascism.
Yeah. And
that's the thing. I think that, there's bad comparisons, Trump and Hitler, but I think that we're almost victims of not making the comparison or making too many wrong comparisons for so long that when a guy comes along that, fits that archetype pretty well, almost, oh, you can't say that because that's not being sophisticated. That's just like Alex Jones calling Obama Hitler, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Or Lyndon LaRouche, but Lyndon LaRouche was right when he called Obama Hitler.
Yeah,
but
course.
Yeah, I think in a way, I think this is going to sound really bizarre. I think the association of the Holocaust with Hitler and fascism can kind of ruin our sensibilities in the sense that we only think of something that extreme. Like, is Trump doing anything that extreme? No. But does he have the same underlying views about authority and about a personality cult and all that stuff? And the answer is obviously yes.
Right. And exactly. I think I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. And I think it's, like you said, if there's this association, Holocaust and white supremacy, that equals fascism, that equals Nazism. That's where it ends. Mm-hmm. That is sort of the life force of the Trump people that say, what are you talking about? We have plenty of Hispanic supporters and black supporters and so on and so forth. And I do think that I do have this kind of idea. Maybe it's a crackpot theory, but you tell me. But the kind of idea that I have is that people on some basic level are recognizing what Trump is doing as reminiscent of this European fascism thing. But because of that, like, we don't have the model for the American version of that. Mm-hmm. So they sometimes conflate, the past version with the present version. And that gives Trump kind of an out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that does make sense. Yeah.
So, for example, like, I think it's like probably wrong to say, well, Trump is a white supremacist in any kind of like dedicated ideological sense. Mm-hmm. But is he happy to, use white supremacy in order to get votes and get more power? Like, yeah, of course he is.
Yeah.
See, it seems like that seems to not be the discussion, right? It seems to be, he's a white supremacist. No, he's not. And I think that that's missing, like the whole kind of like, oh, the fine people on both sides, it's a hoax. It's like, Trump says contradictory things all the time. It's like, let's put it this way, right? In that, the Scott Adams of the world, they bring up, well, if you read the transcript carefully, he says, no, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. I'm talking about good people that were there. But it's like, in the context of what was going on, did anybody even know about who these people were or what? Like, no, we only saw the tiki torch wielding supremacist people and so on and so forth. And that was what was in everybody's mind at the time. And even Trump said the night before, right? And it's like, well, that was what was going on the night before? It was the tiki torch rally. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's just another contradiction. It's just another Trumpian contradiction. And I think that parsing Trump's words has been just completely detrimental to just everything. I think it's just,
and the idea of
I think it deranges all of us. Right. I think that's the biggest problem. He exists in a realm where facts do not matter at all. And I think that's just been this big problem that's been happening both for the people that condemn him and the people that are his apologists. I think that the main takeaway from this 4 years of Trump is that the man will say anything or do anything if he thinks it's in his best interest to gain more power. And he will throw anyone under the bus. He will throw, like, if one day he decides that, for whatever strange reason, he won't condemn Putin. If one day that changes, he'll throw him under the bus, everything, and then you'll be left with that. Oh, he threw Putin under the bus. See, he was never beholden to him. And there'll be that kind of thing,
It's just, it's who, are you kind of within the past, like 15 seconds, have you either praised Donald Trump or done something slightly different than full-throated, complete 100% praise? And like that is the only bar. I mean, that's because that's why. Like, he's not his his kind of inability seemingly to go against, the white supremacists and to condemn them. It's not because he has, he does have some white supremacist sentiments.
It's and his father, I think his father was a white supremacist, and that certainly, trickled into his thinking, I'm sure. But I think it's one of those things where the kind of personality that he has. Another thing too that, again, people don't realize is I hear this like really dumb comparison this really dumb defense against Trump being Hitler. There's this idea out there, even among, sophisticated people, that Hitler was this like genius that just sat down and schemed and, orchestrated everything. And that's not true. He was this like narcissistic nut job that just went around and like constantly reading the newspapers looking for praise, and he was lazy. He would sleep in all day, barely work. That's another thing too. I think that there's this idea that we have that only really truly horrific things can happen if the person is this genius that sits down and tries to take over the world, viewing it almost as this chess match thing, and is very logical about it. I don't think that's true. I think that certain people that have these personalities that are so extreme that they're able to bring everyone with them into this just kind of like cult-like ecstasy that always ends in disaster because ultimately it's not tied to reality at all.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Apparently you are still louder, so I'm going to see if I can boost me and lower.
I can try to boost my gain, or not boost, but turn my gain down a little bit.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm now louder. I lowered it earlier.
I can't hear the way I sound, so I don't know. I turned my gain down a little bit. Did it make a difference?
It seems now I'm way loud. It seems like it's hard because for my ear, it seems fine. I'll have to let people know I'm paying more attention to the Discord to kind of get a sense of that. It seems that, again, there's still some problems with the YouTubes happening there. Let me kind of get this back up. But yeah, I think the comparison I like that's helpful for me is actually something I learned from kind of a weird source from last podcast on the left when they cover serial killers, because I think a lot of people, when they think of serial killers, they have this like evil, they're these like evil guys and they're out to, you know, but they're just fucking losers. They're just total losers who are just kind of derelicts and just are like pathetic, and they just have these like deep dark sicknesses. And it's not this like
sometimes
comical...
it's just it's a mechanical failure in the brain too. That's another thing that can happen where, I remember I think I was watching with you when we went to Missouri, I think in the hotel room. Do you remember there was that serial killer show that was on? And I think it was, the guy said that he got into a motorcycle accident and hit his head really hard. And then ever since then, he just has the urge to go kidnap and kill and rape women. Like after that, it just happened.
There's the first mass shooter in American history. The Texas clock tower shooter specifically said, please,
Charles Whitman. Charles Whitman.
Like specifically, please do a autopsy of my brain. I think something is happening to my brain. I'm getting these headaches. And lo and behold, he had a brain tumor. But kind of bringing this back to Trump, and I think, this idea that it's like these evil, like they're the kind of henchman who wears a top hat and twiddles their mustache while they tie a damsel to the train tracks. That's not the accurate picture of who these folks are.
Another thing too is even didn't take Jim Jones. He was extremely lazy. He didn't orchestrate all that. Yeah. He had those women that were with him that were dedicated to his plan. All you need, in other words, I think that we need this understanding that what you need is this charismatic cult type figure. Then you need dedicated ideologues doing his bidding. And that's where you get disaster from.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with Trump's second term, and this is why everyone should vote him out. He's not going to tolerate any of the dissenting statesmen in his administration. He's going to get rid of all of them. He's going to put in total bootlickers. And these are going to be the true believers. Stephen Miller, put it this way, right? The biggest believer in Trumpism, Stephen Miller. He's the only one left. Right? He got rid of everyone else.
Yeah.
Except for, Ivanka and Jared because they're family. But I think also they kind of, I think he kind of keeps them on board for the nicer version of the administration too. Even though they're horrific.
It's funny you bring them up because Kelsey asked me out of the immediate family and the immediate, who is the most disturbing? Because she said Ivanka really disturbs her. And I said, Don Jr. is kind of fun. Because he's clearly on way too much cocaine. And that's, that's fun. And I said, for me, it's Jared. Because Jared is if you look at Trump, right? Trump is such not as a president, but he is such a failure. But it's so colossal that it's almost impressive. He is just a black hole of destruction and devastation and ego that it's like sublime. It's like staring into a black hole. Where Jared is equally as much of a failure, but has none of the impressive qualities in terms of the size. He's just a pathetic loser failure, and yet he's constantly put in charge of Israel-Palestinian relations.
Well, that's the thing too. And again, it's one of those. I like what Tony Schwartz. If everyone doesn't know who he is, he was the ghostwriter for The Art of the Deal. Someone asked him, "Is Donald Trump a racist? Is he an anti-Semite?" And he said, "Not in some dedicated way, but in a very kind of, he says a very particular type of anti-Semitism." Mm-hmm. Yeah. Says it's not like I want to kill all the Jews, but it's like, hey, the Jews, they love money, so I want them counting my money. It's that kind of thing. And I totally see that with Jared Kushner, for example. Oh, you're Jewish, you can solve this, right? They'll like you. Yeah. But really, do you think that Trump thought anything other than that? I think that was what he thought.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Because I don't see, and he's just he's Ivanka's husband, so he's got to be good at something. Also just a quick update here. Still just looking at Florida because they're counting pretty fast, so we're at 78%. It looks like Biden is now ahead 1.5, if I can do math correctly, give or take. So still ahead, not a huge amount. I need to find a better map because this isn't very good. Anyway, so yeah, I'll find that so I can get some more kind of deep dive things. Apparently, Brent has hijacked Jub Jubson's account now and telling us that McConnell won in Kentucky, which I think we all knew. But yeah, so that happened. But so kind of Florida is still, Biden is still leading. I'm trying to see if I can't get more in-depth results in Florida. So I will be looking out for that. Also, Brent, let me know if I fix Forrest's audio so that he's not yelling at everyone's ear. If I look at the mixer, it appears that he's fine. But I want to
sound okay. Anyone in the chat, if I sound way too loud or too low, let us know.
Yeah, because on my end it looks perfectly fine. Yeah, let's see what is 538 talking about. Let's see what they're doing. Nope.
Oh, lost me.
Oh, okay. Let's kind of see here. For whatever reason, I can't get 538 on Firefox. I got to switch over to Chrome. I don't know what that's about. Forrest, you still there? Think we lost Forrest for a moment. Yep, it looks like we lost Forrest, unfortunately, so we're going to have to, for the time being, we're going to have to go back, see if we can't bring Joe Biden back. Oh, let's see if we can't find Mr. Biden. Boom.
Can you
Once
hear me?
again. Oh, I can hear you now, Forrest. You there? Oh, lost him again.
Dylan, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Yep, he got disconnected. Kim is joining us in the chat. How is Kim doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm not sure if you can hear me on your end. It seems like you're not. We'll just wait a moment for him to come back on. Let's kind of see here. Let's take another look at Florida. Florida's the main one I've been keeping my eye on. Ooh, it's got much closer in Florida. With 79% recording, let me show you all this. 79% reporting, and now it's only 0.6% lead. Let's see what I can do here. Yep, still going up. We don't have a lot of the rest of the panhandle. As we can kind of see right over here. Let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia's at 7%. Trump is now ahead by 0.2. see what else what kind of time. So it's almost 8 p.m. So we have a few more states closing in about 8 minutes or so. So Trump is leading in Georgia right this second by 0.2%. Let's kind of go back to Florida. Florida, Biden is still leading, but it has tightened. So Biden is now leading by 0.6% in Florida. So kind of we will kind of see what's going to happen over there. But now let's take a look at who else is going to be, which polls are closing in just the next few minutes. Let's take a look right over here. We should also know Georgia's pretty low right now. Georgia's only at 7% reporting. So anything could happen. Right now, with 80% reporting, Biden is in a slight lead by, it looks like 60,000 votes in Florida. Again, that is with 80% reporting. So let's get our list for, so if we look at 7:30, so North Carolina actually, let's take a look at North Carolina results. North Carolina, we have, it looks like a 1% in, so we have, it looks like about 3,000 coming in. Getting news from Kimberly in the chat that Biden is leading 1% according to ABC, so I guess that's a good point. So let's take a look at some different folks.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can't hear you is the problem. That's what the issue is.
Okay. Yeah, let me
Nothing's muted. I don't know what's going on.
Let me see what I can do.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, but you probably hear yourself now, don't you?
No, I don't hear myself.
Don't hear me. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just using the internal mic, so it may not sound as good.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know why the other mic's not working. And then video just won't let me share. Oh, now it's... I don't know.
Yeah, let's see if I can't get you... Okay, yeah, because I see you now on the video. So let's get you back. Let's...
So does my audio sound acceptable, or does it sound bad?
It's fine.
Fine. All right.
All right, let's take a look. What was I looking at? North Carolina. So North Carolina, we are at just 1% reporting. Looks like about 4,000 votes so far. Trump leading by 50%. But again, that's 4,000 votes, so let's not get too hyperbolic just yet. But so Kimberly did point something out that it looks like ABC is reporting slightly different numbers because, the fake news mainstream media, it's all a con game anyway. So let's take a look at Florida from different perspectives. So let's kind of look at AP right now. So AP, 80% reporting. And they are reporting Biden's lead is tightening. It's now at 0.4% of a lead in Florida. So let's take a look at what other folks are reporting. So I'll just kind of get Florida results. Let me throw this up on the big screen. Let's kind of see here. So let's see CBS News, for example. Blah, blah, blah. This isn't results. I'm just trying to... USA Today. What are they going to... Not reading your damn ads. Ooh, so yeah, New York Times has it at a dead heat. New York Times has it that Biden is up by 6,000 votes with 81%. With 81%.
About gnashing.
Yeah. This is the gnashing of teeth. 6,000. Oh, boom. Trump train. Trump now ahead by 20,000, give or take. So we'll have to kind of see what's going on there. Apparently, so it looks like in Florida. So Donald Trump won South Carolina. I don't think that was really something we mattered much. It looks like Trump is done pretty well in Miami. Seems to be kind of what's going on for Trump. Because he's the one who's going to stop socialism. So that kind of makes sense. Biden is doing better in other areas, according to the New York Times. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. And of course, Biden is now back on top again. This is gnashing of teeth. Florida, you're dead to me. We're going to look at other places. So let's see, 2 minutes. Let's see which counties are coming up, or which states are coming up next. Let's see kind of which polls close. So yeah, 8 p.m. What do we have? So 8 p.m. is when the rest of Florida closes. But is there anything else very fun? Nothing all that exciting at the 8 p.m. Mark. Pennsylvania's at 8. So that's that'll be fun. Ohio closing, or Ohio's already closed. Ohio closed at 7:30. So let's take a look at Ohio. Ohio results. Okay. Oh, so that's weird. Because Ohio right now with 28% reporting, Biden has quite the lead. I imagine this is more a factor of perhaps early votes being counted first, and early votes and absentee votes more likely to be Democrat because we're afraid of the coronavirus hoax, unfortunately. So we tend to absentee vote. But yeah, so we'll see. Again, gnashing of teeth. There's not much left to do besides that. It also looks like the major cities are all kind of reporting in, which I imagine those are going to be more Dem cities. But yeah, that's that. Let's see. New York Times has got that needle thing that makes everyone real anxious. Let's see what's going on with that. With what they're saying. So this is. So let's see here. So they are suggesting that Trump is going to win Georgia and Florida. And assuming Trump is going to win both by around 3, North Carolina with only, they're looking at more Biden. Who knows? Again, I think
they're all fake anyway. They're all fake anyway. So.
Yeah, this is all a con game. This is all fake. So not a whole lot to see here. But yeah, so 8 is Pennsylvania, and it's 8 right now. So Pennsylvania results. My understanding is Pennsylvania is going to be pretty slow. And so, it's not something we're going to be able to expect immediately. First results are expected soon. We'll see what happens. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, while we're gnashing our teeth, I guess we can talk a little more about what. So, what do you think, if Biden wins, should be the first things that he does in office? What do you think are the most important things to do, like immediately?
Probably. I mean, my first thought is doing something about the Supreme Court. Just because it seems like that's going to be a big issue when it comes to everything else. Because
Well, I mean, like when he gets in, I'm talking about specific actions he could take immediately. Because I do think, I mean, I agree with you about the Supreme Court, but what I'm saying is if he were to day one be like, all right, we're changing the Supreme Court, that would be very divisive. And I think that at this point, I think pulling down everyone's temperature at this point seems to me to be the number one thing to do, I guess. A lot of people criticize Biden for like, oh, he's too far right and he might put Republicans in his administration. But I honestly think that more than anything, I really think we're on the verge of something like a civil war or something. And I think that we need to bring everyone together. And that it sounds cliche and like silly, but I think that's me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's fine. I think that's probably a good idea. I don't exactly know what that looks like. I have no problem with Republicans in certain offices. That doesn't bother me. That makes sense. I mean, that's been almost every administration has had. People have painted it as some kind of like extreme, kind of extreme like bipartisanship, I guess you could call it, but almost every administration over the past few decades has had members in the cabinet from the other party. And I definitely think I think it just depends on are they bootlickers or not. That's really what matters to me. And not the fake ones, not Romney as a simple example, who it's just an act for him. But
Romney's infuriating.
I mean, gee whiz.
And Susan Collins is worse than Romney, I think.
And Murkowski, I think, is the other one where I just don't get. Oh, I just saw that you messaged me on Discord.
Do you think too that if Trump loses, and let's say it's a landslide for Biden, it's a huge repudiation of Trumpism. Do you think that the Republican Party is going to more double down on the Trumpism, or do you think that they're going to basically kind of say we never believed in Trumpism? You think what do you think is more likely to happen? Because you got to remember his base still loves him, right? So they can't talk too much shit. Yeah. So on the one hand, they're held hostage by the base. And if they're going to try to expand that base, they're going to run into the problem of what it takes to expand the base is going to be diametrically opposed to what the base likes and what the base is all about. So I think the Republican Party is going to be in this no-win situation, I think.
Yeah, my guess is that they're going to try to pivot to a kinder, gentler Trumpism. They're going to pivot to, like Tom Cotton figures, for example.
That's Tom Cotton's fucking scary. There's your fucking evil scheming piece of shit right there. It's got Tom Cotton.
Yeah, I think that if that would be my guess is like that's more the direction they go in, where because if they double down in the sense of trying to get like version 2 Trump, I don't think that's going to work. Just because I think Trump is a special guy, for whatever, for just in the sense that I think he's a unique figure. And so I think if you try
he's got magic powers that only it's the kind of I'm not saying I'm comparing them in terms of like literal comparisons, but he is kind of a Napoleonic figure. Like he's one of those once in a lifetime figures that comes about and through almost just sheer force of personality is able to, do so much. Yeah. But, I mean, those people, they're few and far between. I guess the thing is, like, think about it this way, right? Like, you probably agree that Maduro has done more damage than Hugo Chavez, right? In terms of just sheer volume of damage.
Yeah.
Tearing apart his country. Okay. Could you see something similar with, like, a Tom Cotton? For example, Trump laid the stage, and so he was like the Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez comes out. He's the one with the personality. He's the one that creates the cult. And then once that's cemented, then Maduro comes in, and he basically just builds upon whatever Chavez did. I think that's also possible that you can have that kind of scenario as well.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me kind of Scientology, where you have L. Ron Hubbard and then Miscavige, where I don't think Miscavige could have created Scientology. He doesn't have,
exactly.
He has less of Hubbard's like wackiness, and all that kind of goofball stuff, and he's kind of coasting. He's coasting on the wackiness, but keeping the authoritarianism. So I could see that would be my guess as to the direction they go, because you're not going to find another.
I'm just wondering what. Just very interested of what. Well, first off, and then Trump's not dead, so even out of office, I mean, one thing that you can have is that he goes around proclaiming that he's the duly elected president and the deep state stole it from him and all that, and he operates his cult outside of the White House. I mean, that also is another extremely dangerous thing that can happen too. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what happens to the Republican Party itself. I'm wondering that maybe there will be a third party, and that 30% of the United States that are diehard Trump fans, maybe this is some kind of like that becomes the Tucker Carlson party, right? Where it's like it's kind of a whistle, like a dog whistle, white supremacy type stuff mixed with kind of a social safety net system meets capitalism. I think in a way, I think it's a strange mix.
The dog whistle party. That's exactly what it's going to be. Yeah.
Dog whistle party, right? Where it's like, no, we love everybody. We love brown, black people, whatever. But we all know that Leave It to Beaverland is the true goal. We know, that's what we want to go back to.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think
that's another thing too. I think I really do think. I'll give you an example, right? So it's almost like when people say, let's take George Lincoln Rockwell, right? So they would ask him, well, you're the National Socialist Party of the United States. Are you a socialist? He goes, no, we believe in free enterprise and like no social safety nets and all that, right? It's one of these things where I think that we need to be very careful about moving forward with what's going on. Is we need to drop, these models we have in our minds about what to expect and who these people are. And I think what you need to do is you need to adapt and see the adaptations of these movements, right? So I think that that's the biggest problem is on Twitter and so on and so forth, is that like Tucker Carlson, for example, there's charges against him of racism that I think are not true. And then there's charges against him that I think are true. And I think that we need to be very, very careful going forward about our analysis of this stuff, because not just for accuracy's sake, but because I think that is just part of the power of these people. They derive it from that, if that makes sense, right? They derive it from the ambiguity.
Yep.
That's a huge problem.
I think the Proud Boys is like, to me, like the key example of this, where it's, like, oh, they're a white supremacist organization, and it's like, oh, well, they have black and Hispanic members, and like it seems like we get lost in the fact that these are complete authoritarian loser political gang. Like that should be the focus, because that is indisputable. Are they over a white supremacist? Certainly, there's a Venn diagram where they're overlapped.
They're a mutation of that thing, right? So in other words, it's not like just that thing. Again, it's whatever this mutation of that earlier form is, right? Like that's the thing that's more important to recognize. I like Paul Verhoeven, when he made Starship Troopers. It's actually a world government. It's a world federation. There's no nations, so there's no nationalism. Women and men are basically equal. The races are all equal, and everyone gets along. And his whole point with that movie was to say, but this society is still recognizable as fascism. Like that's the interesting, right? And I think that where we're getting lost with a lot of our online discussions and a lot of this stuff is, I think that where the left is right is in recognizing that pattern and in recognizing kind of the branching off. Where they go wrong is in not recognizing those mutations, if that makes sense, or not recognizing them well enough. I think that's, in my opinion, is.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I think part of it is the simple fact that more and more of our political lives, and I think social media and the internet is part of this, where we're able to find nicher and nicher communities to be a part of. And also, these political ideologies get much more abstract because so much of it is online. Where, if you go to, like, if you're a white supremacist, in the 80s, as an example, like, you have to go to a physical place to hang out, and you have to be white because you're there, and like they could see. But with the internet, where there's that distance, and like there's a lot of anonymity, and there's a lot more cross-pollination of identities, and it's a lot more kind of diffuse in a way. I think it makes something like the Proud Boys, it makes these mutations much easier to come about, to where, ultimately, without the internet, without social media, white supremacy is going to stay, for the most part, in a white box, just because of the nature of the thing, where you have to, you have to hang out with white people, in person. And so it's going to be much harder for black people to be able to get involved in that, for example. Where when it's on the internet, when there's anonymity, it's a lot easier for all these things to kind of cross-pollinate, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that danger of these movements isn't so much like, oh, they're going to round up all the black and brown people and Jewish people and kill them. I don't think that's the danger. The danger more kind of is like, we have this vision of the world and the way things should be in terms of culture and the way you comport yourself. And it's either that or the sunken place, right? Like, that's kind of like the idea. And like, I don't know if everyone's seen Get Out, but you've seen Get Out, right?
I have.
Oh yeah, right. It's not so much. Again, it's one of those things. It's like the Starship Troopers thing, right? The whole world is multicultural. Actually, it's not multicultural. That's the point. It's not racist. It's not sexist. And there's no nations, no nationalism, but they still are a continuation of whatever that pattern is. And it still has whatever kind of whatever essence or whatever you want to call it underlies all the branches, right? Like, that's kind of the idea.
Yeah. And I think there's also stuff like, the stuff we joke about where, folks say that they're not white supremacists because they think actually East Asians are superior in terms of IQ. And then, like, Hitler.
When I did the Dave Rubin thing, I proved that Hitler wasn't a white supremacist. Right?
Yeah. And so even there, like, there are these, like, loopholes, so to speak, in
yeah, we talked about that idea. Stay patch fascism is kind of the idea.
Yeah, and I think it's
one exception.
Like, one fun example of this is when David Pakman interviewed Richard Spencer and was asking him things like, what about, like, Iranians? Like, Iranians are like technically white, Caucasian. So are they going to be allowed in the ethno state? And Richard Spencer's like, well, they're technically white, but maybe, and so, like, obviously he does not want Iranians in his ethno state. And it's so, like, he's going to get lost in these technicalities, and ultimately he's just going to make up an excuse. Like, there's not. It gets back into this whole thing that this isn't about ideological purity. There is no ideological purity within fascism, and so there shouldn't be. I think amongst
it's been that way kind of since the beginning.
Yeah,
is it like Mussolini was his famous quote was, "What's your policy proposal? It's to smash the heads of the socialists, right? Like, it's owning the libtard. That's basically it." In some ways, like, I think that in a weird way,
I want to enjoy the Pennsylvania results. We have 3% coming in, and it's 82-16 Joe Biden. I don't expect it to end there, but I choose to enjoy that. Oh wait, I got the wrong thing up. I got too many windows happening. I think I have Georgia. Yeah. So yeah, 82-16. Again, that's not real, and it's lies, but it's still fun, and I'll take it. Also, going to check in on Ohio. What's Ohio doing? Where are we at? Ohio, 44% reporting. Joe Biden currently in the lead. Again, I'll take it. Who knows? Trying to see my understanding. Florida is more and more going towards Florida is more and more going towards Trump. Although it looks like it's come back down. Yeah. Trump is now up by about 1.5. He was more like in the 2 range. So, again, we'll see what happens there.
Did you look at Texas yet?
I don't think Texas.
24%.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, it's 24%, and Biden is barely winning, actually.
Oh, wow.
Texas so far.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's been some interesting kind of things out of Texas, like they surpassed their total. They surpassed their 2016 voter count like a couple days ago, I think. And Harris County has been really big, and there's like something like youth vote has quadrupled or something along those lines.
My family in Texas, who've always been big Republicans, weirdly enough, they're the most anti-Trump. Like few of them are actually voting for Biden.
Interesting.
Some are just sitting out.
Yeah, I'll take that. I know there's at least a few people we know who are going to vote for Trump who just decided not to vote that's in Michigan. Also, I don't think Michigan, I think that is about 1% reporting. Biden ahead. I like, but Flint is currently red. There's no way that continues. Genesee County is not going to be red. So yeah, this is. I mean, yeah, if that happens, like something. Well, then the universe has just swallowed us in the gaping maw of death and destruction.
Flint goes red, and Texas goes blue. Then it's something's very odd.
Then we're all gonna have to die. The one I'm looking at is Macomb County right here. Macomb County went Trump in 2016 and voted. I want to say voted for Obama in I think both 2008 and 2012. But then went Trump. Maybe didn't vote for Obama. Oh, voted for Obama at least once. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for there. Detroit, I'm also interested. It looks like voter turnout is definitely higher in Detroit, not by very much, by a couple of points. But again, I'll take it. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it would definitely be. I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, so Biden up a hair in Texas.
It's very interesting about this election too. Is it just kind of hit me, even though I already sort of knew this. All the arguments I've gotten into my family about Trump, nothing is about policy or philosophy, right? None of it. Just like realize. Normally, when I would get in arguments with my dad, it would be about political philosophy. It would be about policy decisions, things like that. And I just realized none of that matters. We don't even talk about that. It's more like, hey, isn't this funny? A video of Trump supporters trying to run some people off the road. And I write back, no, I don't think it's funny, right?
No.
That seems to be what it is these days. I think my grandfather once sent me this video of like, was that, I think it's, God, who's the guy that does a song like "She's a Lady"? Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh, Tom Jones.
Yeah, and it was just Melania Trump like set to that music and like, look how sexy and cool she is, and that's just supposed to persuade me to vote for Donald Trump.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I get. Is stuff like that, or the most policy-specific stuff is like QAnon stuff. So fake policy stuff, right? Like that's the. My uncle sent me something once that's like, Trump's an asshole, but look at all the children he's saving from the pedophile Satanists. And he's like, serious.
There you go. I mean, if you think QAnon is real.
I realize this whole 4 years has been in terms of even discussing policy or philosophy. That has nothing to do with any of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, ultimately, like, if you think QAnon is real, then you should vote for Trump.
Right.
And, you know, so, like, you know, if Joe Biden is fucking and murdering kids and drinking their blood and their adrenochrome, like, yeah, then you definitely should not vote for him. And so, you know, ultimately, you know, what do you do? Like, you would have to, you know, if you were going to change someone's opinion, you would have to lead them away from QAnon. But how do you do that?
I mean, and the other thing too is, I think I don't know if you guys discussed it on the podcast, but how deep fake videos are being used, like showing Hillary Clinton doing this stuff and Joe Biden doing this stuff. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It is true that the scariest part about QAnon is that it will rally good people to do horrific things. That is the scariest part about the whole thing.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, it's funny because people. I remember when I was more following like QAnon Anonymous, for example, and people would be like, "Why do people believe in QAnon?" It's not because they got a rational argument. They believe in it because if you believe in QAnon, you are like one of the coolest people who's ever lived. You are at the cutting edge of like the true source of information about what's going on in America.
Kind of rebel thing I was talking about. It's like being channeled in these very unhealthy ways. I like Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park. They made a really good point about this. They said, you know, people would come up to them and say, "You must love the Trump era. It's so wonderful for satire." And they say, "No, satire's dead."
Yeah.
They said it's actually the worst time. And people come up to us like, "You must love what Trump's doing because it gives you so much material." They go, "We don't like what he's doing. It's absolutely terrible." And the idea is that the way they put it was like South Park almost doesn't have a place at the table in the way it used to, where they said like the natural order of things was you have the kind of jester that sits at the side and makes fun of everybody. And what do you do then when that thing becomes the power, right?
Yeah.
He's saying like in other words, Trump is in their view has upset the natural order of things, where. So I think in a weird way, like a contrarian rebel streak in somebody is channeled the wrong way into things like QAnon. And I think honestly, you know what? I mean, it sounds like this might be overly simplistic, but I think that teaching critical thinking in public school at a very early age could help with this. Because, you know, you have like Sweden, for example, people get a world-class education up front and they get taught critical thinking. They seem to not be as drawn to this kind of stuff as Americans are. And I mean, it does happen in other countries. I'm not saying that America's the only one, but what I'm trying to get at is I think that, you know, this kind of rebellious streak in people, if that doesn't have some kind of critical thinking component attached to it, it could be like a combustible concoction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally right. And I think, you know, and I think part of it is critical thinking, specifically in the social media age, which I think has to be, I think sometimes critical thinking is taught too abstractly, you know, where when I took, you know, critical thinking 101, it was very much like, this is what an argument is, like, you know, this kind of stuff, where I think it's not just about understanding logical form and stuff like that. It's also about understanding, you know, where your evidence is coming from and understanding how to see through the nonsense that's going to be on social media. Because even if you're...
And I have to admit... Right, sorry.
Just because even if you're not on social media, you're still getting information from social media because other people are. And so you've got to learn to be able to see through that, even if you're not on Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
I've noticed it's affected me to a large extent. I've noticed that, you know, I become kind of a more sloppy thinker just because if you're constantly in this environment of just lies and nonsense, like all day, every day, it has an effect on you. I have to sort of, consciously say, okay, I got to kind of go back over critical thinking. I got to go back over logic 101 just to kind of save my brain from the onslaught of nonsense that's constantly coming.
I want to look at this. So 41% of Texas, and currently Joe Biden is leading by about 300 or 200,000 votes, 51.1 to 47.5. So again, that's bizarre. That's a weird thing that's happening. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues in any capacity.
It may very well be that, you've been to Texas. I've been to Texas. People there is by and large are very nice, polite people. And maybe that has an effect that they see Trump acting like a total fucking lunatic and a piece of shit all the time. Maybe it's just, maybe the human decency thing, maybe. This is just my crackpot theory, but maybe that has a part to do with it. I'm not sure.
That's part of it. I also imagine the bluer places are getting a lot bluer. Is another part of it, but Texas is also kind of weird. When it comes to, they have this weird independent streak. So I wonder if that's playing a role. I don't know.
I'll give you an example. My grandmother in Texas, for example, has always voted Republican, but it's like she cannot stand Trump just on a visceral level.
Yeah.
Now, you got to wonder how many. She's one of those suburban women, right? That Trump is having such a hard problem with. I got to say, if I'm wondering too much. So when it comes to evangelicals, for example, right? Have you seen anything about how they're all coming out in droves to vote for Trump again? Because I know that they pushed him over the edge and helped push him over the edge in the last election. Have you seen any data on that this time around?
Yeah, I'm not sure. My guess is they still are.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it'll be this time around. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good.
If you truly believe in the things Jesus said, like how can you support this, right? Like that seems to be, to me at least. So I don't know. I'm just wondering if I was an evangelical and I voted for Trump, I would have a guilty conscience. I know that. It wouldn't be just this easy thing to do. I'm just putting myself in that mindset.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's got to just be the only possible, thing folks can look at is just this idea that God uses imperfect people.
I know, right? I know that that's the argument, but I mean, come on. It's so ridiculous now that I don't know. Like, to me, it's just again, to me, Donald Trump is like a cartoon villain from a Captain Planet episode, and I just don't like. If you don't see that, I just don't. We just have a different way of we live on some kind of different plane of existence, basically.
Yeah, I don't. Because I don't know what the good is. I mean, again, it's got to be just like, well, we if you only care about abortion, if you only care about gay marriage, if you only care about that stuff, he's gotten you 3 Supreme Court justices. And if nothing else in the world possibly matters to you, except for those things, he's been a very successful president.
It would be, but it's like, let's elect Satan just because he gives us Supreme Court justices. He's Satan. He's going to tear everything apart and destroy everything, and he only cares about himself. But I don't know. It's just the cognitive. I think that you got to have some level of just extreme cognitive dissonance or something. I'm not sure. Oh
yeah, I for sure. I mean, or just an extreme deficit in your value system, where you think the Christian approach should be abortion is the only issue that is at all relevant.
Like Obama said this, and I believe him. He said if there was a Democrat running that comported himself like Trump, he could not support that person.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I actually believe Obama when he says it. Now, I will say this too. I talked about this before with you as well. That the Clinton era was kind of like a microcosm not really microcosm, but a less extreme version of Trumpism back in the 90s, where a lot of Democrats would say, like, well, yeah, sure, Bill Clinton is a sociopath and possibly a rapist and all this, and he lies all the time. But, I like his policies, blah, blah, blah. And they would apologize for the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that needs to stop. That just needs to stop.
Yeah.
Like, the way I look at it is, in this funny, because, back when I was or just railing against the establishment before the days of Trumpistan, I kind of looked down upon this idea that decorum mattered and the way being professional mattered. In fact, I'll tell a story like back in the one day we were wanting to talk about, the Ron Paul days. Maybe I'll come on for a guest episode and we'll talk about the Ron Paul era.
Oh, Jesus.
I told you, though, like I almost got into a fight with a Romney guy at the convention.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
It's like, one of the Republicans came up and said, like, if you don't vote for me, then you're not a true Republican and all this. And I was like, fuck you or something. And the guy turns around. He's like, show yourself some decorum. I'm like, fuck you too. And I'll fight you. And it was like that. Right. And it was like, well, here's the thing I'm trying to get at is, I realize now that how important that kind of thing is. There's this kind of different level, right? There's like the policy level, and then there's this kind of social cohesion level. And the stuff that I used to think like, a liberal democracy is really a sham. It's all corrupt. Everybody knows it. It's just a big game. And there's kind of a slightly conspiratorial, thing in the back of your head about it. In a weird way, it's like, you know what? That is the achievement of liberal democracy, is that we have this system where all the kind of worst elements of humanity happen, but they're kept in check. And by being kept in check, there's this kind of equilibrium that happens where society is able to stabilize. And to me, like Trump was the thing that taught me that. That's even if a politician is being, fake, as long as it's cooling down the temperature, as long as there's a call for unity, and as long as there's you're not trying to divide everyone and cause more division and more hatred, it's actually a net win. And I think that Trump really taught me that. That's one of the main takeaways I took from the Trump years.
Yeah, I fully agree with all that.
Put it this way, like George W. Bush wouldn't have been able to turn my family into QAnon. Just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Trump did. Like, that's the thing. He opened that up. Again, it's one of those things, like, I think that the level of harm that he's done to the country is so immense, and we can't even wrap our minds around how much harm he's actually done.
Yeah, because I think part of it's more diffuse. It's not, I mean, now with COVID, there's a body count.
Right.
Yeah, it's people who are, who have just kind of converted. I mean, there's just no other way to talk about it. And there's people who can no longer talk to family members like human beings. And like the idea that that's just going to go away, and the idea that that's not going to have any other repercussions, is just a fantasy.
It really has gotten to the point where I am not allowed to voice my views in my family.
Yeah.
It is not. It is just, you're done. The moment I even barely say anything, just a little bit, it is shut down immediately. So yeah, no, there's no discussion anymore.
Yeah.
But they have the freedom to send me propaganda all day, every day.
Yeah.
And that's stopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow.
It's
I
got
told
to.
them, you're done.
Yeah, no more. You got to have boundaries. It's the key to a healthy relationship, is healthy boundaries.
That was the reaction. Wasn't like, oh, okay, Forrest will respect your wishes. It was like, don't be a fucking pussy. It was like that,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm done.
Fuck that. All right. So there's like nobody here. There's been nobody here for a while.
Probably they're like, oh God, Forrest and Dylan, they're bitching. Is so boring. We're getting out of here.
So I think
actually, I'm gonna go meet up with Gilbert.
Okay.
So we'll stop in though, because you guys are going to be doing this late. And by the way, forgot to ask, why is Brent not here? He's
working.
Working. Oh, so he's going to come in later then.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pause it for now. I'm just kind of exhausted, and nobody's here. So yeah, I think at the very least we'll kind of take a break. If people want us to come back, we certainly will. But there's like nobody here watching.
Nobody's here, but we have the most original and insightful analysis of Trumpistan.
That's probably
anywhere
true.
on the internet. And so sad. Nobody's watching. How terrible.
That's fine. But yeah,
Everywhere
so
else you go, it's just
yeah, I'm gonna at the very least take a break. Kelsey came home, so
All
I
right.
want to talk to her. Everybody, stay hydrated. Take your meds. And
I think Biden's going to win, though.
God help us. God help us. Either way. All right. Forrest,
All right, man,
thank
talk
you
to you
for
later.
joining us, and I'll see everybody